Portland. If the Clippers lose, they fall into the ninth spot with one game remaining in the regular.
Live in Manhattan, New York at the National Action Network Conference. Organization founded 35 years ago by the Reverend Al Sharpton. And I had the great privilege of participating with Dr. Johnny Mack on a panel discussing the state of the African diaspora with some noted professionals who fund extremely large projects on the continent of Africa. We talked about funding and strengthening organizations here in the United States. I want to talk about that and pine on that just for a moment before our break. I shared with the panel that in the final analysis, African Americans who go to Africa go to vacation. When Africans and African Americans seek opportunity here in the United States, and when Africans seek opportunity in the United States, that's called business. Know the difference between taking a trip to Africa to find your roots and going to Africa to mine bauxite or critical minerals or oil. And the people who are doing that in Africa are not going to Africa to find their roots. In fact, they don't even look like us. And on this panel, we took some of the issues head on. For example, when African leaders come to the United States, they stop by the United Nations, but they don't stop by the National Action Network. Reverend Sharpton, who knows Black business people from coast to coast. They don't stop by the National Rainbow Coalition in Chicago and see now Yusuf Jackson, who knows African American business persons, male and female from coast to coast. They simply come to New York, speak to the United Nations, deliver a speech, get back on a plane, go to Africa, and you know who's waiting for them at the airport when they get to Africa? Elon Musk. Because he needs lithium. Apple Computer. They need lithium for batteries. Who's waiting for the African leaders when they land? People who need bauxite and other critical minerals. And I said one of the ways that African leaders could be extremely helpful during this period is those people who opposed us here in the United States, they can make them relate to us here in the United States. And for example, Reverend Sharpton knows the 5 African American owned radio stations in the United States who communicate with Black people and Black voters and progressive voters across our country who we need to turn out in the primaries and in the general election to vote our interests. Those interests, when they show up in Washington, D.C., in the form of 62 African Americans in Congress, they fight for the interests, not only domestically of African Americans, but globally for the interests of Africans. But when you come to the United States and you ignore our leadership or don't know to reach out to our leadership, or you think you're smarter than we are about how to deal with Americans, we experience a level of insult like when President Trump met with Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, and put him out of the White House and told him to go back home and put on a suit, stop walking around like Fidel Castro in his presence because he's the king of the world. And then, shortly thereafter, the president of South Africa showed up in the White House, and the president of the United States insulted him. But if the president of South Africa had called Reverend Sharpton, at the time Reverend Jackson, or Yusuf Jackson, and said, hey, can I have a lay of the land before I go to the White House to meet with Donald John Trump to figure out what the meeting could be like, or can I gain some insight from you on who I'm meeting with? Instead of making that call, when the Africans showed up, they are subject to insults. But I told them if they came to New York to meet at the United Nations, they ought to stop by and meet with African Americans who've lived in this system longer than others, who can put you in touch with, for example, 5 radio stations that need to advertise on their radio stations that blacks ought to come visit Kenya, blacks ought to come visit Angola, come to Nigeria, come to Ghana, come vacation with us. But by empowering those stations, they empower our voices, which allows us to get our votes out. And I must share with you, I received an amazing round of applause for the nearly 1,000 people who were in attendance at the panel that I participated in. I was excited about the prospects, not because I was received so warmly, but because I was making so much sense. And the crowd understood that our destiny is somehow tied to the destiny of the continent of Africa. It's hard to imagine that even during the Iranian crisis, that African Americans are negotiating for peace on behalf of Iran. That's not happening. It's hard to imagine that Israel has black lobbyists in Washington, D.C., lobbying for their interests. But we ought to be able to expect Africa to do the same for us. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward with the NAN Conference in New York, New York.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
The joint will be jumping. Ebony Repertory Theater, in association with Fig Street Films, brings you one of the most beloved musicals of all time. Tony Award winner, Ain't Misbehavin'. The soulful, swinging celebration of the music of Fats Waller. From the rollicking to the romantic, this show is pure magic, full of the songs that defined an era and the voices that'll make you forget everything else for a night. Foot stomping, heart stirring, unforgettable. Don't miss Ain't Misbehavin' at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center, starring Lettucey, directed by Ren T. Brown. This is the night out you've been waiting for. Tickets are going fast, so don't wait. Grab yours now at ebonyrep.org or call the box office today at 323-964-9766. Ebony Repertory Theater, bringing the culture, keeping the legacy alive.
Ain't Misbehavin' runs May 21st through June 8th at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center. Get your tickets now.
My perfect day has sand, salt water, and friends. But my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can take me out of the moment. Now I'm all in with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi. Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, most people saw 90% clearer skin, and many were even 100% plaque-free at 4 months. Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin. And that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis. Visit Skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Can we just talk? You've heard me say it before, how we talk to one another matters. Earlier this year, we launched our first cohort, and I'm grateful to those who leaned in early and helped to shape the work. Now I'm inviting you to join me for a new live seminar, The Practice of Dialogue, Becoming a More Effective Communicator. This is a small group experience designed to help you strengthen how you communicate in your work, your relationships, and your everyday life. Space is limited to keep the experience personal and interactive. So if you're ready to take your communication to the next level, now is the time to focus on the skills that make conversations meaningful. The new 4-week cohort begins Monday, May 4th, and there's a nice discount for early bird registrants. Visit TavishTalks.com to learn more and reserve your place today. That's TavishTalks.com, because better conversations don't just happen, we practice them.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. In the first hour, Michael Cohen. We replayed the interview from our previous interview with Michael Cohen. At dinner with him last night, he was absolutely right about Donald Trump balking at the idea of destroying and ending civilization. But the consequences of the president's remarks, well, they're still in front of us, and there are still great reverberations. Let me put him and save him for another day. In this hour, I am particularly proud that my brother, Yusef Jackson, the son of the late Reverend Jesse Jackson and brother, of course, of myself and Congressman Jonathan Jackson, will take our father's place as president of the Rainbow Push Coalition, the organization announced on Thursday. The Rainbow Push Board of Directors has approved Yusef Jackson as president and chief executive officer of the organization. This is what Dad wanted before he died. Reverend Jackson named Yusef Jackson as his successor. Rainbow Push reported. Yusef, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Yusef, I think you're muted.
Mr. Jesse Jackson Jr., thank you very much for having me. It's an honor to be in this seat as your guest. I feel honored to have you as such a great host. Boy, I tell you, I think there are a few people in the country who can set the case as well as you can. And I appreciate the work that you do. God has blessed you in so many ways. He's not finished with you yet. I believe that from the depths of my heart. And so I'm excited about this show. I'm excited about your future and our ability to work together, me from this new perch. I'm honored in a special way that our father thought enough of me to entrust me with this body of work. And I'm also grateful and happy that we have a family that works together. So I believe that I have the best advice in my mother and in my brothers and sisters and in the wonderful board of directors that we share. The people who advise my father in large part are advising me. So I feel honored and I feel protected in their arms.
Brother, you are in great space, and I'm here to support and serve you in any way that you need in this extraordinary grand endeavor to continue Dad's work and to keep this very important legacy alive. Yusef, obviously you represent a new generation while at the same time serving as a major bridge that Reverend Jackson had begun crossing, and that, quite frankly, given the difficulty of this hour, it is a bridge that has to be crossed even further and even with more determination. Yusef, share with us, if you don't mind, your vision for the organization against the backdrop of the challenging times we are confronting as a country. Please feel
Let
free.
me just, and we can do this somewhat together, Jesse. The times we face as a people, African-American people, and as a people who are considered the rejected stones of society, our Hispanic brothers and sisters, our good white people of good conscience, we're in an existential crisis. There are forces trained against us like I'm not sure I've ever faced in our lifetime. Perhaps there were generations before us that faced this, but in our 60-year lifetime, we've not faced these forces before. It's well organized, they're well funded, and they're executing a master plan at literally all three branches of government. And what we're facing is you're seeing an administration that is removing our ancient landmarks and our history, replacing them with a different kind of America, one that we defeated over 100 years ago, 150, 60 years ago. We're seeing schools being challenged and intimidated to reduce the amount of African Americans and Hispanics and other people to enter into the job force or to enter into school and then have an opportunity for professional careers. We're seeing our books taken out of libraries. We're seeing 300,000 African American women removed systematically and quickly from government. So we're seeing voting rights opportunities challenged at a level we haven't seen really since the Voting Rights Act of 1965. And so our mission is clear. It has always been to protect, to gain, and defend civil rights. Reverend Jackson saw this as a very broad mandate coming out of Jim Crow and separate but equal. And so he tried to challenge every aspect of American culture. He knew that you first had to change the law. And when the law was changed, you had to go almost district by district, county by county, state by state, to begin to change the impression African Americans had of themselves. Want to believe I am somebody. Want to believe that you have dignity. Want to believe that you're God's child, that nobody, whatever they say against you, can't be taken to your heart. We had to be convinced that we were good looking, that we deserved to be on the pictures, that our lips were just fine, that everything about me was fine the way I am. Every freckle on my face was meant here and put here by God. And from there, you go to exercising the political power that you won in the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act. And that continues to be a challenge today, inspiring people with the hope it takes to go out and use the blessings that we earned as we march across that bridge and march across other bridges in the country. And so he did that by challenging business from franchises, basically from franchises on food and beverage, automobiles, all the places where we're a large part of the consumer market to be partners in the country. Interestingly, when you take a look at the loss of GDP that the country has had over 60 years from locking us out of the economy, it's over $20 trillion, Jesse. Citigroup did a study in 2020 that said the gap between the African-American income level reaching the white income level, the housing ownership reaching white housing ownership, education levels, all things being equal. Right now, African Americans represent 3% of all the dentists in the system. We should have 14% of the dentists, not just 3%. If you look at the doctors, we're 8% of the doctors. We should be 14% of the doctors. When you bridge those gaps, it's trillions of dollars, $5 trillion of economic output. So racism and bigotry and these gaps are expensive for the country to maintain. As your father and my father used to say, you only need to look on the other side of the railroad tracks. When you invest right here in America, you're actually having a better return on investment than you are going to looking in foreign lands. Now, what are we doing that's different? Our father had a tremendous voice that he earned over 60 years of his service. He had a tremendous face, a face more recognizable than the Pope. And he earned all of that by his service. He's been serving since he was 18 years old, and he died at 84 years old, a long legacy of justice and service. Well, we inherit the work that he gave us, and he gave us a treasure trove of justice and service. And the treasure is in the ability to take that work and go forward with the path and a trail that he blazed. And so we're working on voting rights, working on economic justice, working on education, and we're working on human rights.
Our very special contributor regularly on Fridays and on Tuesdays is Liz King, who recently served as the Education Equity Senior Program Director for the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights, a position she held from 2015 until 2025. Liz, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you, Congressman. It's always so great to be in conversation with you, and I am honored to be here with your brother and congratulate him on this obviously well-earned and important, critically important leadership role. So thank you so much for having me.
Liz, he is now the new
being kind.
Liz, he is now the new president and CEO of a major civil rights organization in our country, and I think Yusef has laid out a very clear, a very cogent agenda that we need to pursue. Your thoughts, Liz, about this hour, about what it means, and about the importance of the kind of leadership that Yusef is preparing to provide.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, hearing that number brought forward about the cost, the true cost of the self-inflicted wound of racism. I mean, that is, Congressman Fattah always used to invoke those same numbers. I mean, this is math. This is about economics. We are creating a situation in which we are deciding that we are uninterested in some people having the opportunity to row together. There are some scientific innovations we are uninterested in. When we deny access to a high quality education to a Black fourth grader in Philadelphia, what we are deciding is we don't want that child's brilliance solving the problems of tomorrow. We are deciding when Black children in the Mississippi Delta don't have the opportunity to learn the science and the math that they need, we're deciding we don't want them to help us fix global warming, that we don't want them to help us fix world peace. And I think what you're hearing Yusef articulate here is an ambitious vision for the future that draws on the knowledge and the lessons of the past and brings us forward to challenge the moments of today and the future. And I am just so excited. I mean, obviously, the organization has been built on a model of interracial organizing, recognizing that we are all in this together, that it is only together that we will ever succeed. And I just am so excited about the future of this organization. And I know that the Reverend Jackson will be so eternally proud of the work that is to come, that continues to be as important now as it ever has been.
Yusef, I know that we have about 5 minutes before we come forward, and I did want to ask you a little more challenging question. I noticed in the last campaign, for example, we spent a lot of time campaigning in blue states. We spent a lot of time, and I know that you were on these trips as well, campaigning in swing states. But there's the United States, these red states and these rural counties and these places that our father would go that Democrats did not go. He would encourage them to campaign in all 50 states. I think you have an all 50 state vision for this organization. Can you share more with our listeners about how tackling the problem and being, if you will, a kind of pressure point for the party to expand its vision beyond just looking at urban areas, but looking at the needs of all Americans?
Yeah, we're going to have to come together. Let me give you 2 points on this. The first is voting rights advocacy. If you go to the Selma Jubilee, it's seen as a narrowing group of aging voting rights advocates who were there in 1965 for either one or two or all three of those civil rights marches in 1965. The Rainbow Push Coalition went to Minneapolis not long ago and brought a coalition of ministers with us. And from that trip to Minneapolis, we learned that the issues they were fighting in Minneapolis were the same ones at one level that John Lewis and SNCC was fighting in Selma: citizenship and the right to vote. And so in Minneapolis, when you had Somalis and Haitians, Laotians, and African Americans and white people of good conscience, the issue was citizenship and the right to vote. And it was deadly. It was deadly for Renee Good. It was deadly for Alex Preddy. It was deadly for Viola Luiso. It was deadly for Reverend James Reeb. It was deadly for those Unitarians and Trinitarians down in the South. We took them to Selma and had them immersed in the blood of those who came before us, because the fight for American rights and the right to vote is a fight that is evergreen. And so it's not just a shrinking group of voting rights advocates who should claim privilege of that. If you're right now at Cook County Jail in Chicago, knocking on the door to try to register non-felons, you're a voting rights advocate. You should take that march across the bridge and baptize yourself in the lineage of those who have fought for American rights. If you are promoting a bill for students to have a voter registration card in one hand and the high school diploma in the other hand as they cross the precipice from high school to college, you're a voting rights advocate. So I think what we have to do in a post-Jesse Jackson world where we live in his legacy but not through his life is to recruit more people to the civil rights struggle and teach them generationally what it takes to win and keep these rights. And the only way we can, we get frustrated with our youth saying they don't really understand the struggle. There are not enough of us who are teaching about the struggle to take the message down through the generations. And so one of the things we're doing, since we don't have the voice of Reverend Jackson at one time, is recruiting more and more people, hundreds and hundreds of people a week, to train them in the civics of voting rights, for example.
Yusuf, how can we stay in touch with your organization and the work that we are doing together in this vein? Are there ways that we can support the organization online, financially, and in any other way?
Absolutely. You can always reach us at www.rainbowpush.org, www.rainbowpush.org. But I will offer this. We are retooling, we are rebuilding, we are changing, and we're enhancing our staff. So give that website a little time. Come back and visit it often. You will see it continue to change and improve every single month. But yeah, keep in touch with us. You can keep in touch with us, I think, Jesse Jackson Jr., through your show as well, because I think it's not just rainbowpush.org. It's those of us with whom we found common ground to take this message forward. You, every day, take this message forward also.
Yusuf, I'm particularly proud and grateful. I don't know how much more time you can actually spend with us. I was told that I might be losing you at the 30, but I am so grateful with your ascension as the new president and CEO of the Rainbow Push Coalition. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. My brother, Yusuf Jackson, is the new president and CEO of an organization founded by my father, our father, the Reverend Jesse Jackson. And Reverend Jackson specifically wanted Yusuf, before he died, he named Yusuf Jackson as his successor. And Rainbow Push, the board of directors, and all of us are the stronger and the better for that leadership. When we come forward, Jesse Jackson Jr. and Liz King will continue our conversation and keep hope alive. KBLA Talk 1580.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Former Vice President Kamala Harris says she's considering a run for president in 2028.
Listen, I might. I'm thinking about it.
She made that comment while speaking with Reverend Al Sharpton at the National Action Network conference, saying she's thinking about it and pointing to her experience serving just a heartbeat away from the presidency. Senator Adam Schiff is endorsing Black Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass for re-election, praising her work on recovery, public safety, and housing. Other supporters include Nancy Pelosi, Dolores Huerta, and Sheriff Robert Luna. And a new report from the Association of Black Foundation Executives says support for Black nonprofits has declined after a surge following the murder of George Floyd in 2020. The study says funding began dropping after 2 years, with recent policy changes worsening financial challenges. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Are you looking for your next European adventure? Think Poland. From its historic cities to all of the UNESCO landmarks and its incredible food. Modern, safe, welcoming. Get inspired at Poland.travel.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers finally got a win without Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves. They were in San Francisco Thursday night. They beat Golden State 119-103. The Lakers were 0-3 without Doncic and Reeves. LeBron stepped up with a strong performance, 26 points, 11 assists, and 8 rebounds. DeAndre Ayton also stepped up with 21 points. Ayton made 9 of 11 shots. The Lakers are back in town tonight to play Phoenix. Very important game for the Clippers tonight in Portland. The Clippers need a win to hold on to the 8th spot in the play-in round. They have a 1-game lead over Portland. If the Clippers lose, they fall into the 9th spot with 1 game remaining in the regular season. Teams in the 9th and 10th spot in the play-in round have to win 2 games to make the playoffs. The Dodgers are back in town after a 5-1 road trip. They start a 6-game homestand tonight against Texas. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, host of The Voice of Reason, weeknights at 7 p.m. here on KBLA Talk 1580, with a personal invitation for you to join me and Insight.me as we present The Healing Box, live at Inglewood's world-famous Miracle Theater, Saturday evening, May 23rd at 7 p.m. Look, I understand your attachment style has been running your life like a rogue algorithm, and nobody has had the courage to press pause. Until now, Dr. Pakoya McCall and yours truly are curating a night where clinicians, spiritualists, and an all-star panel of Black woman healers like Dr. Shalonda Sunshine Crawford, Dr. Deshauna Johnson, and spiritualist Precious McGill will join some amazing spoken word artists and the legendary comedian Louis Dix to diagnose, disrupt, and heal your relational wreckage in real time. Listen, bring your trauma. As a matter of fact, bring your baby mama. No, bring your testimony. And if you're still texting your ex at 2 a.m., baby, you're not just invited, you're the target demo. Tickets are moving fast, so grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before your dating history gets flagged as a pre-existing condition. That's themiracleinglewood.com. We'll see you there Saturday, May 23rd at 7 p.m.
Did you know about 1 in 3 people with plaque psoriasis may also develop psoriatic arthritis, which causes joint pain, stiffness, and swelling? Does this sound like you? Listen to what it sounds like to be a million miles away. Tremfya guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy, and for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Imagine being a million miles away. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Visit Tremfya.com or call 1-800-526-7736.
I need a little range, step to the range, come on, meet me at the
Introducing the new Chick-fil-A Jalapeno Ranch Club sandwich. With that juicy Chick-fil-A chicken on a buttermilk ranch bun, jalapeno ranch sauce, and pickled jalapenos, it's a little ranch with a lot of kick. The new Chick-fil-A Jalapeno Ranch Club with original spicy or grilled filet. Available for a limited time only. Order ahead on the Chick-fil-A app.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Our regular contributor, Liz King, who joined us from the Leadership Conference on Civil Rights, Ms. King served as the Senior Policy Associate for the Education at the Children's Defense Fund, where she focused on school discipline reform and school funding equity. King's policy and advocacy career began as legislative director for Congressman Shaka Fattah, where she advised and represented the congressman on education, healthcare, women, children, and family policies. Liz, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you so much, Congressman. What a great conversation.
And Liz, I am particularly honored that the new national president and CEO of the National Rainbow Coalition, organization founded by my father, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, my brother, Yusef Jackson, is our new leader. He is on our program today, and we are honoring him. We're also introducing Yusef to our audience because I want him to be a regular contributor on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show because of his engagement with civil rights, not only domestically, but globally. Yusef, here, how do you narrow the extraordinary vision of Jesse Jackson, which was so all-encompassing, focus an organization out to broader audiences? Yusef, your initial thinking.
I'm sorry, Jesse and Liz and audience, I have dogs, and I'm home. I'm hoping that I can answer this question over my dogs. You know, I think, honestly, Jesse, I think the first thing you have to recognize is that the transition from Reverend Jackson's extraordinary once-in-a-generation leadership is going to be challenging, and it's going to be wrought with peaks and valleys. But the first thing to recognize is that we are not Jesse Jackson. The unique circumstances of his birth, the extraordinary person, intellectual that he was, the people that God put him close to meet, his entire training is just very, very different. So we take it and we do things differently. It's a different environment now. And I do think we have to go back to grassroots organizing. So what we can do, what he did with one voice, we have to do with hundreds and thousands of voices. We inherit some part of his legacy, but we don't inherit all of his voice. We have to go and earn that ourselves. So what we're doing is we're on the road. We're in Minneapolis, we're in New York, we're in Orlando, Florida. We are kicking around to these places in Atlanta, Georgia, doing the work of the National Rainbow Push Coalition. And slowly but surely, we will rebuild and we will gain our stature where we can make a difference. And I'm hoping that we can make a difference this summer and through the election in November. So the first thing we do is we go a couple steps down from his large voice. You know, he had a very large media presence. He earned that. We have not yet earned the media presence that he garnered. So we're not seeking media presence. We're seeking presence with the people.
Wow. Yusef, Liz, it doesn't get much better than that. I am bursting with pride right now because Yusef has come an extraordinarily long way as a business person, as a lawyer, a graduate of University of Virginia, a graduate of University of Virginia Law School as well, an extraordinary talent. And in such a short period, he has brought a tremendous amount of credibility to the organization. I'm wondering in this moment, Liz, some of our organizations have leadership that is aging, and the octogenarians, and I'm not anti-older people, I'm just saying that the bridge has to begin. And what better timing than to get their feet wet at the time of the greatest challenge confronting our democracy in modern American history. Liz?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Wade Henderson would always say it's better to be gone but not forgotten than forgotten not gone. And we have had some leaders who I think over time have had a harder time letting go for all the best reasons, right? I mean, we have been so privileged over these many decades to have the opportunity to be led by individuals who are so committed to the struggle, they just cannot let it go. But I am excited. There is a generational transition happening. And, you know, I just want to go back to something that Yusef said about training and about learning and about building up leadership in the next generation. You know, we talk about what Rosa Parks did in Montgomery gets misrepresented as, oh, she was just tired. She was not tired. She was not tired for a minute. She was an extremely effective, very well-trained and prepared leader. And she strategically chose the opportunity to make history. And we all know what that has done and the amazing benefit we have all gained from the strategic decisions made by that well-trained and effective leader. And so how do we take this tremendous foundation, you know, thinking about the voting rights work, right? The way the barriers to the ballot, have changed. They've changed over time, but there are things that are true, that are consistent. And you talked about the breadth and the scope of what is in front of Rainbow Push right now. And yet it is singularly about a fight for justice and equal opportunity. It's the same fight that Du Bois was fighting at the beginning of the 20th century. Technology has changed. The universe has changed. As we got reminded recently in the Supreme Court, the world has changed, but the Constitution has not. There are things that are still true, that are still our responsibility. And, you know, Ella Baker told us it is upon each of us to train up the next generation. I'm so excited about this foundation of grassroots organizing. And it's going to look different. It's going to look different than it did before. But it is going to build on the skills and knowledge. I mean, we have this profound, rich opportunity within these legacy civil rights movement organizations that have built themselves up over the decades. And they know, you know, you look at Fatima Goss-Graves, who's leading the National Women's Law Center. I mean, this is someone who stands on the shoulders of giants. We have these tremendous leaders who've learned from those who came before and who are ready to confront the challenges of now and into the future. I'm excited. It is a terrible, terrible time, but it is these terrible, terrible times that have created profound opportunities for leadership. And we have seen time and again, people in this country rise to the challenge and bring us forward into the next generation.
Mr. President.
Jesse, can I offer, Liz, thank you for that. I think that my father used to use this a lot. You were born on second base, but you woke up and thought you hit a double. And I think from a civil rights and civil liberties perspective, nearly the entire country was born on second base over the last 60 years. And we've forgotten what it takes to win these rights and maintain these rights and expand these civil rights and liberties. And we can't blame the generations behind us that you didn't learn. Every year someone's born, we teach the ABCs. You just can't learn their ABCs by hearing me speak. And so we have to take the painstaking time to teach people how you win rights in this country. And if you think about it, it's really simply, you know, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the Declaration of Independence applied to like 5% of the country. And over 250 years, we've been expanding those rights through blood and struggle. It took 100 years of women's suffrage to get to 1920 or to 1919. And it's taken, 200 and some years to be able to even make a stab at closing some of the gaps in African-American life expectancy. And so we have to continue to teach people that the price of liberty is eternal vigilance. As Thomas Jefferson often says, the price of liberty is eternal vigilance. And if it's eternal vigilance for his liberty, someone for whom the documents are written, someone who wrote the documents, you can imagine what it's like for us on the other side of the railroad tracks.
Wow. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., Liz King, and I'm proud to say that's my younger brother right there, making nothing but sense in this brand new space. I'm proud that the new president and CEO of the Rainbow Push Coalition is our very special guest, joining me and Liz King on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. More on KBLA Talk and a final word of hope from Yusef Jackson in our final segment. You'll want to wait around for that. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
All right, folks. As we approach Liberty Island, you'll see the iconic Statue of Liberty, standing tall at over 300 feet. The torch in her hand symbolizes a beacon of hope that's held up by her very wavy arm.
If you have geographic atrophy, or GA, subtle changes in vision could mean it's progressing toward irreversible vision loss. Izervay, or avacincaptad pegol, is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. It's proven to slow GA progression and could preserve your remaining vision for longer, so you can keep seeing the world around you. Don't take Izervay if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't wait for your vision changes to progress. Ask your retina specialist about Izervay today. To learn more, call 1-855-IZERVAY or go to izervay.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt? Angela was. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $80,000. Felicia was having health problems, got behind on her taxes, interest and penalties were adding up. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $15,000. Civic Tax Relief is a professional tax negotiation firm that can protect you from the IRS. If you're getting collection letters, call Civic Tax Relief for a free consultation. They will go to work helping you discover all the relief programs you may qualify for free. James owed the IRS $37,000. Civic Tax Relief represented him against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, he did not owe the IRS anything. If you are in trouble with the IRS, call Civic Tax Relief for your free consultation now. 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257. Get a free consultation and real tax relief. Call 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is connecting you with services and solutions. Domestic violence and family violence is when someone in an intimate or family relationship tries to gain or maintain power and control over another through a wide range of abusive behaviors. Every single act may amount to abuse. Abuse can take on various forms: psychological and emotional, physical and economic, and sexual abuse. The Genesee Center Incorporated is a nationally recognized nonprofit domestic violence prevention and intervention organization, housing women and children from 30 days up to 2 years through emergency and transitional shelters. The Genesee Center also provides support services like mental health counseling, life skills classes, computer training, job referrals, after-school programs for children, field trips, tutoring, and comprehensive direct legal services. If you need help or you'd like to donate or volunteer, call the Genesee Hotline, 1-800-479-7328. That's 1-800-479-7328, or visit genesee.org. Everyone has the right to be safe. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Roger and Tracy saved over $18,400. Cynthia was recovering from a family tragedy and saved over $10,300. If you are drowning in debt, then call Debt Blue. Debt Blue is a professional debt negotiation firm with over 20 years of experience helping people pay back a fraction of what they owe. Learn how to cut your debt up to half or maybe more. Be debt-free in 24 to 48 months, even with bad credit. With an A+ rating from the BBB, you can rest easy knowing Debt Blue is going to deliver guaranteed debt reduction. Debt Blue offers a success guarantee. You pay nothing unless your debt is reduced or completely resolved. That's right. You save money or it's free. Call now for significant debt relief and a free consultation. 800-200-8879. That's 800-200-8879. You don't have to declare bankruptcy. This program works if you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in debt. Call for your free consultation today. 800-200-8879. That's 800-200-8879.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580.
Junior Show on KBLA 1580. This is our final segment. And to prepare, the president and CEO of the Rainbow Push Coalition for this segment, our special guests always have 3 minutes at the end of our show to offer a word of hope, and we will reserve that for you, Yusuf, as we head to the top of the hour. I also want to thank our regular contributor and the creator of the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, Gina Towns, who is in New York and has been in non-stop meetings about this show and about expanding opportunities on this show through and with and for KBLA. And I'm very grateful for her. She will be back again with us next week. Joining us is our regular contributor, Liz King. Liz, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you so much, Congressman. It's been a great conversation.
Liz, I know you might have a question or two of the president and CEO of the Rainbow Push Coalition about vision and about direction. Please feel free to use them now, but please save him 3 minutes for the top of the show for his word of hope.
Yeah, I am just so excited. And what I would really love to hear from you, Yusuf, and I think what we would all love to hear is, what are you feeling the most optimistic about in this moment when so much is wrong and there's just, our rights are being taken away? It is such a challenging opportunity. What is it that brings you optimism? Where do you see the future of the Rainbow Push Coalition going? And with your new leadership and this sort of burst of energy that comes in these kinds of transitions?
You know, thank you for that excellent question. I think what you're seeing, although times are very, very dark in many respects, and it's often hard to find hope in these days, when you really look a little bit beyond the thorny side of the rose, in that thorn of the rose bush are beautiful flowers. You're seeing these No Kings marches that are huge, that are spontaneous, that are everywhere. They started last year, and we thought the first ones were big, but then they continue to grow. If you go to Minneapolis, you see spontaneous marches are happening almost every week. You're seeing a concept in Minneapolis called neighboring, where women produce breast milk for other people's children because they're afraid to come out and go to the store. You're seeing peace groups protect people who are going to mosques so that they can worship free from encroachments by ICE. So you're seeing these movements all over the country in places where you would not normally expect them. There's energy in the streets. Now, what I think that the No Kings March opportunity is to direct that movement to the polls for November. So we direct that movement from No Kings through the summer to register and then make a difference at the polls in November. I think the energy of Minneapolis coming together as a citizens group has got to be transported from Minneapolis through different cities around the country. They can teach us. There's something special about that place. There's some reason that God brought us to Minneapolis for George Floyd. There's some reason that God keeps taking us back to Minneapolis for ICE and for Freddie and for good. I don't know what all that means from a theological perspective, but there's a reason we go there, and they're the center right now of the movement for peace and for change. So I'm hopeful with the energy I see. Now, we can't just have that energy dissipate by not taking that energy and making it relevant to our political predicament. And so we have to change our behavior at the polls. In addition to that, we have to hold our politicians accountable once we elect them.
Liz, maybe one final question, and then Yusuf, your word of hope. Liz?
No, I think that's amazing. And hearing sort of the way you are talking about the work each one of us can be doing every day. We are our neighbor's keeper. You know, everybody out here, you can say to your neighbor, you know, you are somebody, I think is amazing. You talked about the connection to voting rights. And I would love to hear more about what you think we can all be doing to make sure that every single voice is heard in November, that every vote is counted, and that the American people decide the results of the American election.
Yusuf, let's use this moment as the word of hope.
We have to go forward by our hope and not go backwards by our fear. To paraphrase my father, we have to be better and bigger, not bitter. And so we have to find a way to open our hearts and do the uncomfortable work of finding common ground with the people who don't look like us, who may not be our gender, and with whom we may not agree on every relevant issue, but there are enough economic issues to bear. We have to find common ground with each other and let the other stuff go. It's the beginning of a relationship. We're not going to maybe incorporate the entirety of a person or the entirety of their position, but we have to find enough common ground to make a difference for each other. I think once we get that in our hearts, that we're willing to reach across and work with other people, then we're going to find the hope that we've been searching for. And I'll say, as Reverend Jackson would say, no one will save us for us but us. And I'll also mention that, yes, it can get worse if we don't put a stop to this and organize and mobilize and make our voices heard.
Yusef, Dad would be so proud right now. Maybe a final thought about Dad and his impact on your life?
Oh my goodness. You know, I didn't realize how much of my father's life I would learn in his passing. We were very close in life, but I've learned so much in his passing. Think about this, Jesse Jr. I didn't quite understand the impact of when Dr. King was killed when Dad was 26 years old, and he sat on the bottom of that parking lot. Dr. King was killed on that balcony, and he insisted to keep working at 26 years old. And how our family, when Dad passed, the pain and the loss of our patriarch, we have had to keep working. So in that sense, I'm 55 years old and keeping working. He was 26 years old. But in the legacy of Jackson's, Jesse Jr., we keep working, we keep building, we keep mobilizing, and obviously we have to keep hope alive.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You've been listening to the president and the CEO of the Rainbow Push Coalition. This is Fat Meat Fridays with Gina Towns. Gina will be joining us again next week. I'm so grateful to Liz King, our regular contributor, for this very special episode, welcoming the president and the CEO of the Rainbow Push Coalition. I love you, Yusef, very much. And Liz, I look forward to seeing you next week. More on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.